the like button. Yes, this is a part 2 to the video that I put previously of David Benavidez versus David Morrell. I was driving, so I didn't want to be unsafe. So I decided to just do the part 2 so I could focus more on my content and elaborate in better details of what I think about the two fighters. You know, this is the sentiment right now between the two fighters. Well, I'm going to give you the sentiment with David Benavidez, how he feels about uh, David Morrell, the confrontation they had in the press conference. Check it out.
You think he matched your energy up there? You said you felt some kind of change from his end.
To be honest with you, I don't know what he's doing. I don't care what he's doing. What his energy gets like, my energy right now is I really want to go in there. I want to compete. I know it's going to be a good fight, and I know this is going to separate me from everybody else. And I want to solidify myself down the best.
For sure. From Caleb Plant to Demetrius Andre and now David Morrell, that's one hell of a run. That's exactly what we're setting you up to be. You know?
Yeah, so like I said, I just want to do it for myself. I want the best fights possible. If I can't get Canelo, if I can't get Beterbiev or Bivol, this is the next best fight.
Just the exchange over there.
You see, he's making the best fights possible considering the circumstances. He couldn't get a Canelo fight, so he's fighting the best possible available opponent. And this guy's a WBA regular champion, David Morrell. So I feel like that's a good fight for him. I don't see any recognizable names in David Morrell's record, but he's fought some solid fighters. You know, I don't think they were like at the elite level, but he's fought some knockout power guys with power punches, you know, power hitters, but nobody that I could really recognize or that I know about. Like if you compare the two records, the two levels that they're on is totally different as far as David Benavidez. He fought, I would say Caleb Plant is a solid elite boxer, former champion, and I feel like he's elite and he has boxing ability. He did really good against Canelo. He was winning most of the fight until he got knocked out, but I feel like he doesn't have a lot of power, so but he doesn't really necessarily need one punch power to win fights. Like, he actually looked good in his last fight. Caleb Plant, I was really impressed with the way he changed the game plan. Instead of fighting in the outside with that Donald Trump supporter boxer, I forgot his name. He had power, but he was not really like accomplished. But he was actually getting him at the end, like from the distance. He was actually tagging Caleb Plant. So Caleb Plant figured out if he smothers him and goes inside and fights him and beats him at his own game, that he wouldn't be able to tag him, and he'll be able to beat him in his own game. And he did a great job at that, Caleb Plant, in his last fight. So I feel like Caleb Plant, that's one of his best wins. How you doing? Tony also, subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Yes, I'm fine. Fatima, nice. How you doing? I'm doing good. Yourself? So so I think the better competition, it goes to David Benavidez, definitely. Because David Benavidez, he beat Caleb Plant and he beat Demetrius Andrade. With Demetrius Andrade, he was coming up in weight. From 154 to 168. So, I can't really give him full credit for that. But as far as boxing pedigree and boxing skills, he does have the skills, like the boxing skills. But he's never fought at 168 before he fought David Benavidez. So yeah, David Benavidez looked really impressive in that fight and knocked out Demetrius Andrade. So they're two quality opponents that he's looked great against, and I feel like that was the best possible opponents that he could get because he couldn't get the Canelo fight, and he had that drug test that he failed, but that's in the past. He hasn't been doing any drugs, and he's been dedicated and consistent in all his fights. He's been training hard, and he's been doing fantastic. And I feel like that if he fights David Morrell, what he has to watch out with David Morrell is that David Morrell has power, and he also has great legs, great footwork. How you doing? Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel. If you're brave, you will subscribe to that channel. If you're afraid, you won't, because you don't want to hear the truth and you don't want to hear the great content of unbiased, knowledgeable information on boxing and great boxing analysts, analysis. So I feel like David Morrell's going to be a good test for David Benavidez. I mean, David Benavidez has fought. He's fought two good fighters that I could say that he looked really impressive in. When he beat Caleb Plant, he could have stopped him if the referee wasn't interfering. I think that David Benavidez would have knocked him out. And I feel like in styles make fights. Even though Canelo had knocked him out, I think in the eighth round, styles make fights, and I just feel like there's different variables that happen in that ring when David Benavidez was fighting Caleb Plant as opposed to Canelo fighting Caleb Plant. It was different, different strategies, different type of fight. But I feel like the referee had a lot to do with the fact that David Benavidez couldn't stop, Caleb Plant. But I feel like the more experienced fighter is David Benavidez. But let's not forget that David Morrell has a great boxing amateur pedigree. And a lot of those Cuban fighters, they have great boxing pedigree. They have a lot of fights in the amateurs. And sometimes that could be detrimental. They say when you fight too long in the amateurs, you pick up habits that in the pros, you can't get away with. And it's just certain things. But I feel like he has 11 fights, zero losses, and 9 KOs, David Morrell. And David Benavidez, 24 and 0. No, actually 29 and 0 with 24 KOs. He's 26. David Benavidez is 26. And no, he's actually 27. And David Morrell is 26. So they're pretty even in age. As far as style wise, I feel like David Benavidez is more of a brawler, come forward, relentless attack, and his power is not the same at 175 as it is at 168. I noticed that at 168 he does more damage, and I think that he should stay at that weight as long as he can, and hopefully get that big fight with Canelo. Because if he stays at that weight, he's gonna be very, very dominant at that weight. But if he moves up in weight to fight the Bivens and Benavidez, that's going to be more of a challenge and more competitive. I don't think that he will be able to hurt them the way he hurts people at the 168 division. But, maybe he can prove me wrong. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Don't be afraid to click that like button. Don't be afraid to subscribe to my channel if you want great content, you want great loyal fan base content that I provide. Every now and then I give you a live fight, and I give you the opportunity to enjoy a fight, and I don't charge you. And I got to be careful with that because they could stop my videos. But I try to give you some content that you guys could enjoy, so that way you don't have to struggle to look for the fights. But yeah, subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. What do you guys think? Do you think David Benavidez versus David Morrell is a good fight? I think it's a great fight, considering that we haven't been able to get the real big one for David Benavidez. Canelo keeps avoiding him because he wants to make sure that he gets the easiest fights possible at the end of his career, because he's no longer in his prime. Let's be realistic. Canelo's no longer really in his prime. He's good enough to hold his own with limited opposition, like Edgar Berlanga. He was able to of course, sustain himself with him, even though Berlanga didn't get knocked out. So that says a lot about Canelo right now. He's not in the form that he was years ago. So I feel like Berlanga, I don't want to talk about him, but he got a victory when he didn't really get a victory. So I just feel like that's the way boxing is now. They applaud people for going a distance when, even if you got dominated most of the fight, they still applaud you, like with Berlanga, because they had low expectations of him. But back to David Morrell and David Benavidez, I feel like this fight is going to give the hardcore boxing fans what they really want. And I feel, based on the intangibles and the styles, that this fight could go either way, but I'm leaning more towards David Benavidez, because David Benavidez, he has the experience, number one, 29 and 0, 24 KO. He's fought the better opposition, but that doesn't necessarily mean that David Morrell has everything cut out for him as far as winning. I feel like he has a chance to win because he's a great boxer. He can move his legs. He has very great athletic abilities, and he has power. So if he can set up David Benavidez and time him whenever he comes in, throw the jab, move away and counter, throw the right hook, left hook, and set him up and move and box going backward, he might be able to win the fight if he fights that way. I think if he goes toe to toe with David Benavidez, um, that could be anybody's fight as well, because I think the one that hits a little harder, I would probably lean more towards David Morrell. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you guys think David Morrell has more power than David Benavidez? I feel like David Benavidez has power, but he has determination power. Like determination power is just basically like relentless power that after a while it overwhelms you. And I feel like one punch power is totally different. It's like it's not determination power. It's just natural. Like it's just you're born with it. You punch somebody really hard with a solid shot, and you can finish them in the blink of an eye. I feel like that kind of power you're born with. That's something that's natural. That one punch KO, you could finish somebody within like if you hit the person clean and they go down, they stay down, or it's hard for them to get up because the impact of the shot is so powerful that it's like a pure powerful shot. It's natural. That's something you're born with. Determination is based on experience. So it's like determination power is just the kind of fortitude that and experience that David Benavidez has. That's what makes him who he is, and whatever he's learned and survived and was able to surpass, that's what makes him have that determination power. That he can hurt you with the relentlessness of his power, like the combination of his punches. It's not like one punch KO. But I do like David Morrell, but my favorite fighter is David Benavidez. David Morrell is growing on me, and I haven't seen anybody on his record that is notable, like a lot of people know about. And I feel like that doesn't always necessarily determine if you're going to win or lose, but a lot of times it does, based on your experience and your opposition and how you look and how you use your game plan against your opposition. As opposition gets tougher and more competitive, it's harder for you to look good if the person is able to withstand what you have. And then, like as far as knockouts, you can still look good without getting a knockout, but it's harder to look good as far as knockouts. But as you fight somebody that's more experienced and he can actually compete with you, and he's at an elite status, like close to like what you are, it's harder for you to knock him out. But if you're able to knock out somebody at elite status, I would say Demetrius Andrade. I say he's an elite as far as boxing ability, but he wasn't in the right weight class. Right weight class. So I was gonna say white because just right and white sounds alike. So yeah, I'm a rapper, so like sometimes my words, I rhyme naturally without even trying. Yeah, I got music. Check out my music on all major platforms: Spotify, Pandora, YouTube. Tony Also. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Yeah, some people are speaking French over here in the comments. I don't understand what they're saying. Your name is Arthur. How you doing, Arthur? How you doing? My name is Tony Also. My channel is Tony Also Knows Boxing. Check it out. Subscribe to my channel. Don't be afraid to subscribe. Yeah, so I feel like David Morrell has the boxing ability that David Benavidez doesn't have. It's not at the same level. I bear witness that there's no good, but I bear witness that. Okay, he's talking religion here. All right, so anyway, my thing is David Morrell has better boxing ability than David Benavidez, but David Benavidez does have boxing ability. It's just he's more of a straightforward brawler, and he has good defense. A lot of people undermine his defense. I think David Morrell does have good defense. So I feel like in a fight between David Morrell and David Benavidez, the strategy is gonna be for David Morrell is to like jab and use his legs and set up David Benavidez when he comes in. But David Benavidez, the way it sounds in the video, like he's gonna try to go in straight forward and knock him out. So it's gonna be interesting because I'm gonna see how he deals with the boxing ability of David Benavidez. I feel like that's gonna determine just how good and how skillful David Benavidez really is. And I feel like David Benavidez has a lot of potential to show people that he's actually better than what people give him credit for. I think David Benavidez he's one of the greats, and he's gonna look really good if he does that with David Morrell, because David Morrell is a serious boxer. He can really box, but he's also a puncher, and that's what makes him a double threat, because he's a puncher and a boxer. So I feel like he's very athletic. So that's gonna be the key for him to win against David Benavidez. So what do you guys think? I want you guys to engage with me. What do you guys think? David Benavidez versus David Morrell. Who do you think wins? And do you think that's a good fight? Considering we didn't get the fight with Canelo and David Benavidez. Because Canelo's avoiding David Benavidez. We all know that. But there's also good fights. Usyk versus Tyson Fury 2 in December 21st, if I'm not mistaken, in England. So that's going to be interesting. And there's another fight, Liam Paro versus Hitchinson. That's going to be in Puerto Rico, and Roberto Clemente on December 15, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, check your boxing calendars. Check your boxing calendars. Yes, Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel. I'm giving you nothing but the truth and nothing but the best, and the best quality, not quantity, but quality that you guys could enjoy. And want to see what this guy says, man, about David Morrell, David Benavidez. Let's see what he says.
With that signs.
Yeah. Commercials. You know commercials. I don't like them either. But they gotta get money, right?
Backstage and the face off for the promotion, the pay-per-view portion of things. What happened there? What was the conversation like?
Nothing. We just did a face off, and then we started just a little bit of shit talking. But that's all it is. I want to let him know where I'm at, what my mentality is right now, and that's for what's to come February 1st.
Yeah, you take his words on what you're claiming that he said in terms of the Twitter, the tweet, or what it was that he's saying it wasn't.
I don't care. I took it. Now that's the energy we're going to the fight towards.
What do you think about Mike Tyson, Dave? What do you think about the Mike Tyson fight?
To be honest with you, I think it was a good fight, good turnout, but I don't want to see Mike Tyson fight no more. I think hopefully he hangs it up. I think it was a good show, but
that was a success.
He's a retire.
You mentioned Canelo earlier. What if Canelo was?
¿Consideras que esta es una pelea, que esta pelea es como un escalón para pelear con Beterbiev o igual?
Pues yo creo que sí, yo creo que esta la pelea es la mejor pelea para hacer ahorita en este momento. Yo creo que va a ser, y si no peleo contra Beterbiev después de esta pelea, va a ser buena experiencia para prepararme para eso.
Para ti, ¿quién ganó esa pelea?
Yo creo que el Bivol ganó por 1 o 2 rounds.
So he believes Bivol won the fight with Beterbiev. I agree too. I think Bivol definitely beat Beterbiev. That was a robbery. And Amanda Serrano definitely beat Katie Taylor. That was another robbery. And that's boxing. That's the way it is. But what do you guys think about David Morrell versus David Benavidez? Well, David Benavidez versus David Morrell. I think it's David Benavidez. It's David Morrell versus David Benavidez, because David Benavidez is really the real champ. He's a two-time. Well, you could say he's a two-time champ, but that championship that he has is the regular belt, and so is the one that David Morrell has, is the WBA regular belt. It's not the official championship, but I feel like this is the best fight that could be made for now. As far as since we can't get a Canelo fight with David Benavidez. So my prediction for David Benavidez versus David Morrell is I think David Benavidez wins by unanimous decision or by 10th round KO if David Morrell doesn't beat him by unanimous decision, because that's the way I could see David Morrell winning. If he has a chance to win based on his boxing ability, he will win by decision, by outboxing him and outlanding him, moving. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that David Benavidez is gonna put the pressure on him, and he's gonna edge him probably by majority decision, or possibly stop him. But I highly doubt that he'll stop David Morrell. David Morrell is really, he hasn't fought nobody like David Benavidez, David Morrell. So it is possible that he can get stopped by David Benavidez, but I just see that he's very tough. I think he has a lot of fortitude, and I think that he's got a lot of boxing ability, got a lot of boxing pedigree, and he can give trouble to David Benavidez. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually won by split decision or majority decision, or I don't know about KO. I think David Benavidez can take a punch. So I just feel like the fight, whoever wins is most likely going to win by decision. either unanimous decision or majority decision. But there might be some knockdowns in the fight, and if there is a knockout, I think that either person can knock the other one out. That's how intriguing and competitive this fight is. I think it's an evenly matched boxing fight, and a lot of people don't know just how great this boxing fight is because there's not that's for like a true boxing fan, like the pure boxing purists want this kind of fight, and this kind of fight with David Benavidez and David Morrell, it's really a tasty fight. It's very good, looks good on paper. We're gonna see how it turns out. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel. Don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Everybody's talking about religion. This is a boxing channel, not a religious channel. I love God and I praise God, but let's keep it boxing over here. Let's try to keep it more boxing. But yes, but religion, that's man-made. God is one, but religion is man-made. Let's talk about God if you want, but don't talk about religion, and that doesn't save you. I feel like this is a boxing channel. If you're tuning in here, tune in because it's a boxing channel, not for other reasons. But if you want to engage and talk about different things, we can. But let's engage. Let's talk. You're part of the family. If you're in here tuning in to Tony Also Knows Boxing, you're part of my family. Let's engage. What's on your mind? What do you think about the sport of boxing? What do you think about Turkish? What's that guy? Turkish Ashish, the one that's actually making the fights happen, the big fights. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the Tyson Fury versus Usyk fight? It's going to take place on December 21st. How do you feel about the other fight, Hitchison versus Liamparo on December 15th? What do you think? Come on, what do you think about David Morrell versus David Benavidez? What do you think? Who do you think is going to win? What is the strategy that you think works best for David Benavidez to win or David Morrell to win? I think that fight's going to be good. It's on February 1st. February 1st, David Benavidez versus David Morrell. It's going to be an amazing night of boxing. And I want you guys to tune in with me right now and tell me what you feel about that boxing event. Write your comments. Send me your comments and I'll respond to you. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Don't be afraid to subscribe because you're going to get the best when you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to give you nothing but quality and great content that you could enjoy and share with your family and friends. I keep it real. I'm not afraid to tell the truth, but I want you guys to engage with me. I want you guys to engage and let me know, who do you think is going to win the fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell? Let me know, because this fight right here is a souffle. It's a boxing fight that the fans really deserve, and we need to stop having these corrupt decisions like Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. I feel like Katie Taylor lost that fight, and they gave the fight to her because she's with Eddie Hearns, and and Amanda Serrano's promoter Jake Paul didn't do anything about protecting her from corrupt judges. And I think that, he has a lot of influence, Eddie Hearns. So he has more influence than Jake Paul as far as boxing, because he's been in boxing longer. They've only been in boxing for like 3 years. Jake Paul and that promoter, most valuable promotion, whatever, is most corrupt promotion. They allowed Amanda Serrano to lose. So, like, you're supposed to protect your fighter from politics like that, boxing politics. So we just need better decisions in boxing. I have a love and hate with boxing, but I feel like this fight right here with David Benavidez versus David Morrell is a really good fight for the fans. The fans deserve this kind of fight because nobody else wants to fight David Benavidez. Like, Canelo doesn't want to fight him. Canelo doesn't want to even fight David Morrell. And David Morrell only has 11 fights. But he knows that, he has a lot of experience in the amateurs, and he brings a lot to the table as far as boxing ability and power. And boxing is more like business now. Like, Canelo's going to fight the easiest fights that he can fight so that way he could continue winning and make the most money before he retires because he's no longer in his prime. Canelo's not really in his prime. He could hold his own against limited opposition, but he's really not in his prime. He doesn't throw as many punches as he used to throw when he was younger. So we already know. But, Yeah, subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing, and let me know what you think. I feel like this fight with David Morrell versus David Benavidez, I believe that David Benavidez is going to win by. I'm going to give you the unanimous decision. Unanimous decision or 10th round stoppage. That's my verdict for David Benavidez to win by 10th round stoppage or unanimous decision. One of those two. I think more than likely it'll be unanimous decision, but I predict either unanimous decision for David Benavidez or 10th round stoppage. But David Morrell can possibly win by unanimous decision, or they can either knock each other out. It's just so many different variables in this fight. I'm telling you, that fight is worth watching. David Benavidez versus David Morrell. That's a fight that you can't leave the living room if you're watching the fight in the living room and go to the bathroom or get a sandwich, because anything can happen in that fight. That's the beauty about boxing. The unknown. You don't know. But when two great fighters fight each other, I just feel that David Benavidez is the more experienced. A little bit. He slightly has more than David Morrell. I think he's proven a little more. So yeah, that's all I got for now. Subscribe to Tony Also Knows Boxing. Check out my music on all major platforms: Spotify, Pandora, Tony Also, TonyAlso. Check out my albums: The Monumental Truth, The Prodigy of Alviso Campos, and my new stuff is coming out next year. Mi Patria, the EP with Red Moon Music, and The Essence of Who I Am. It's gonna have R&B, Afro beats, house music, hip hop soul. It's gonna have salsa. It's gonna have a little bit of everything, reggae. So yeah, I dedicate that album to my mother who passed away. The Essence of Who I Am. I love my mother. God bless her. God rest her soul. I love her and I miss her, and I'm honoring her with this album called The Essence of Who I Am. But yeah, this is Tony Also Knows Boxing. Thank you for tuning in. I want more engagement. There's people talking about Allah and religion. I'm here to talk mostly about boxing. But if you engage with me, we could talk about anything. But these people are not engaging with me. They just talking about religion amongst each other. But hey, if you guys want to do that, you do that on a different channel. This is boxing. I want your feedback on boxing. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to my channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Don't be afraid to subscribe. Press the subscribe button and the like button. One love. Tony Also Knows Boxing. One. I'll be back.